Hello, family, friends, and fellow sojourners. I wanted to tell you a little bit about my experience with what I was going through in 1993. Specifically, I think it was one of the worst years of my life. It certainly broke me. I hope you remember the story I had when the Lord spoke to me and said that He wanted to circumcise me. A circumcision of the heart made without hands. And 1993 was when I was absolutely crushed as an individual. I don't even know what was left of the original me for that year. I just felt like I'd experienced so many traumas and bad experiences that my mother, in fact, said to me that I had aged 10 years in the last year. Well, my mother was not privy to what we were going through as a family. She was not a Christian, and I think her gut response would have been for us to give Ryan back to his family, his birth family, and walk away from the stress. She didn't know about the HIV thing. There was a lot of stuff that she didn't know about. She was not a very strong person. She was very fragile. And I just don't think she could have handled my sharing with her what we were going through. So I decided to go to a counselor. And I'll never forget walking into the bathroom before my meeting with her. And as I was washing my hands, I looked into the mirror and didn't even recognize myself. I thought, who is that old woman? So I just was struggling with every facet of my being, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially. And I'll never forget when I went back into the waiting room, this young woman, probably in her mid-20s, with a real short haircut, just beautiful. She was just like a pixie haircut with very thin, and her skirt just flowed, you know, and as she walked down the stairs, she just walked down so elegantly. And she called my name, and I started to follow her. I think when I was walking, I think it felt like I had cement blocks on my feet. I was just trudging up those stairs into her office. And she said to me, and I'll never forget what she said or how she said it. She said, "Mrs. Hoskins, I know you don't believe this, but by the time we get through with our session today, you and I are going to put our heads together and we're going to come up with the solution to your problem." And I said, "Really?" I thought, wow, she's quite the miracle worker. And she said, "Well, tell me what your problem is." I said, "Oh, I don't even know where to start." I said, "There's so many issues that I'm going through right now. I don't even know where to start." And she said, "Just start at the beginning." So I started telling her all the things we were going through with Ryan and the police telling us that we were in danger and to protect him and our children. And these people were very, very bad, and we were being warned by all these entities and that. And then at this time, we thought Gary had the HIV virus, so I didn't know what the outcome of that was going to be. And there were a lot of other family issues that I've not shared with you yet. But it was just a lot. And I looked over at her, and as I'm talking and crying, literally blubbering, it was just such a cathartic thing to just get it all out. And I looked over at her, and she's got her tablet, and she's writing as fast as she can. Now, this was an hour-long session. And about halfway through, she literally took her pen and threw it down on her tablet. She said, "My God, how have you survived?" And I looked at her and I said, "You were right." And she said, "What do you mean I was right?" I said, "You have answered my problem." And she said, "I don't understand." And I said, "My God is the reason I have survived." And I started telling her about all these things that God had done for me and for the family. And she just sat there shaking her head and just couldn't believe all the things that God had ministered to us about. And she said, well, people like you either commit suicide, or they get involved with alcohol or drugs, or they run away, or they have an affair, or they do all these things to run away from their problems. And she said, it's obvious that you haven't done any of those things. I said, absolutely not. And so I began to talk to her about my faith and what I had learned to do with my faith and how I'd leaned on the Lord for everything. And she didn't charge me for that session. In fact, she had me come back a second time so I could talk to her some more about what God had done, and read her some of my poetry. And I just thought that was so sweet that this woman, this young woman at the age of 25 or so, had not suffered anything at this point in her life, and that I had made an impact in her life by what I told her. And so she was right. My God was the reason I had survived. So I wanted to share that story with you because I thought it's important for you to know that I recognized how broken I was, that I was absolutely at the end of myself, and I had to call out to God and really understand and know Him, and had to depend on Him for everything. And that was the beginning of my faith journey and the building of my faith and everything I needed at that time. 1993, I'll be mentioning that a few more times just to tell you some more about what happened in 1993. God bless you, my friends. Take care now. Bye-bye.